In a world searching for gaming knowledge comes the man, the myth, a legend in his own mind, Critical. Welcome back, guys and gals, Critical here. Today I'm doing a build guide on Last Epoch. I'm calling this build the Fire Ward Battle Mage. I'm going to be using a combination of Fire Shield, Ice Ward, and to take on bosses and large groups, Glacier, plus it'll return a lot of mana to me. And then Mana Strike, if I find myself, I'm like, oh my god, I need mana, or I just want to beat somebody over the head. Whichever, whatever tickles your fancy. Now, in Fire Shield, we're going to be using this spell to do passive fireballs. Alright, so I need to buff my fireballs so that they pierce. I want them to hit as many enemies as possible when I do cast fireballs, but I want to be casting fireballs out as fast as possible. The normal Fire Shield, you have to wait till you take 35 points of damage before it casts a fireball. By putting 6 points here, every time I take 11 points of damage, I cast a fireball. If I stand in a bat of poison and I'm taking damage continuously, fireballs are flying all over their screen, and they're heat-seeking fireballs. They don't curve, but I don't have to aim the fireballs. They automatically aim in a straight line for mobs, which really makes it nice. I'm going to get Circle of Flames because I like having that area of effect damage. And I'm going to buff my total area of effect. I'm going to give myself an additional 6 points of damage, so I'm doing a total of 12 points per damage per second to the enemies near me. And then Emulation of Heat, every 20 seconds, every second they have a 20% chance to be ignited, which is some extra nice fire damage. And I want to do fire damage as much as I can because a piece of gear I'm going to be using causes me damage. I'm taking damage, I cast fireballs. It's a nice little, it's a beautiful way of doing it. Now, on Ice Ward, I'm going to take Frozen Aegis, Expansive Aegis, and then the final node, which this one added 15 block, added an additional 5 block chance per point, and then I give all that up, and it gives me 10,000 additional block armor and block elemental protection. This will protect me from those big mobs with those big hits, and I'm going to be storing a lot of ward on this tune, so I'm not going to be taking a lot of damage. Most times my health will be pretty much fully maxed, but as ward takes damage, my spells fire off. That's the whole point behind this. Now I want to decrease the amount of mana I have to spend to maintain Fire Ward all the time. And because I'm playing a ward character, I want to get as much ward retention that I can. So I want to be able to maintain my ward. Waves of Frost is just some additional cold damage, and I want it to cast as often as possible, though that's more passive damage. When we're looking at our Glacier, the idea here is as a boss killer. First, I'm going to use Fading Echoes, which gives me the big hit first, followed by the medium, followed by the small. I'm then going to get Rejuvenation so that I get regen 1% of your maximum mana on hit per point. And then this one, I'll regain 1% of mana on kill per point. So the more mobs that there are, the more mana I'm getting back. I want to take this final node down here so that I can target my Glacier. I don't have to say I gotta line it up and then it's gonna step to them. I can just drop my Glacier right on top of a mob or on top of a group that's surrounding me. Get some vortex action because that's some additional passive damage that happens over time. And then I want to get greater vortex off the biggest explosion, and I'm going to buff that biggest explosion because it does the most damage. I want it to hit really hard because it can hit more mobs because it's a larger hit. Now when it comes to Mana Strike, mainly Mana Strike for me is just a way like, oh god, I need to hit something. Alright, so I want to hit quickly. I want to get as much mana back when I'm doing it. So I'm going to buff everything that gives me additional mana. This way, if I have to use it, at least I'm feeding my other abilities. Most times though, I won't be using it because I'll be using Glacier to get all my mana back. Next, we're going to talk our passive grid. All right. I'm going to put 13 points up here, 14 points here, one more point there, and the remainder of my points, I'm going down this passive grid. The idea is I want to unlock the spells that are going to help me the most. Victory Barrier gives me ward. Dark Knowledge gives me ward based off my intelligence, and I have a pretty good intelligence when I have all my gear on, so that's a huge amount of ward buff. I don't have a lot of agility, so this one won't do me very much good, and I don't have a lot of endurance available, so for right now this one isn't working for me. I'm going to be doing a lot of fire damage, so I want to buff my fire. Lasting ward lets me keep some of that ward that I'm generating around longer, always a great thing. Now I could buff my fire, I could buff my ice right here, but I'm going to go ahead and buff all my elemental damage. All right, kind of a glass cannon that isn't, because I have a ton of ward. You'll see what I'm talking about here in just a moment. Most of that ward's going to come from my gear. All right. All this stuff dropped. I've been farming this for a few hours trying to get this up. I got Calamity. Calamity is one of the keys to this build because it makes me have a 150% chance to increase ignite on all my fire skills, 40% increased fire damage, so I'm hitting even that much harder with fire. And then I take 2 fire damage per second per fire kill in the last 5 seconds. So as my fire shield is killing stuff, I'm actually casting more fireballs. As those fireballs kill stuff, I'm taking more damage and casting more fireballs. To keep me from dying from my own calamity, Humming Bee is helping me get ward, which is helping me every time. The more ward I have, the more elemental damage I'm doing. The more ward I have, the more movement speed I have. The shield gives me the ability to refresh my fire shield using ward. So if I have 200 ward and my fire shield runs out, it automatically gets refreshed, which is a huge benefit. I don't have to sit there and keep casting it over and over again. These 2 items I'm mainly taking just for the mana, because I want to have a nice large mana pool. This one's nice mainly for the slow, attack speed and slow. That's the only reason I took it. You can use another ring, you can use different armor, you can use a different amulet if you'd like. And the same with the ring. I only use the ring because it gives me 25 ward on any crits. And then you can use any gauntlets, boots, and relic that you want. And I would build up whatever fits best for you. I didn't have a lot of time to tailor these exactly the way I wanted them, but I do have this one give me 2 intelligence, which is a nice boost to the ward that I get. So that's the character. You see I've got a good amount of movement speed, and that's without any ward going on whatsoever. Now we're going to go out in the field, and I'm going to show you what happens when I'm facing mobs. All right, the Troll Mud Swamp. There is a large concentration of enemies. We're just going to run around and start collecting stuff. And once they start doing damage to me, once my fire ward starts killing stuff, boom, fireballs casting everywhere. Piercing fireballs that'll just keep going through the mobs. And you can see damage over time. I'm taking damage over time from my gear, which is casting more fireballs again and again. If I get into a poison cloud and I just stand there, my ward is taking damage and I'm just casting fireballs continuously. Look at that, look at that. Look at all those fireballs going off. This is just glorious fun. Feed my fire ward. All right, let's teleport down. I'll get down in the center of these guys. I want to get my fire buff going, and we're gonna come right up to the boss. Boom, done and dusted. All right, let's go to another area. Let's go into the temple. Now, this is a high concentration of mobs. There's a lot in here. I'm gonna see if I can get it all collected. A lot of this stuff's gonna start dying even before I get a chance to get it on the screen. Get a larger mob, it's gonna take more damage. Hit it with a Glacier. Now, the Glacier is nice because it doesn't always kill everything. It'll do a good amount of damage, and then my Fire Shield will finish them off. So Glacier gives me my mana back if I'm low on it, and I occasionally will get low. But it also it weakens the mob so that my Fire Shield or Fireball will just eat them up. Now watch what happens. This guy is going to be doing damage to me. I'm going to try to keep my ward up as much as possible. Boom, dead. Look at all those fireballs just going crazy. When I have my ward, now it's ate up my entire ward. My ward is gone. But I was doing huge amounts of damage to him, and those fireballs were just flying like crazy. Let me go turn off the ice ward. It's kind of annoying with that sound, but now it is possible to actually do more fire damage. If you replace your Glacier with Volcanic Orb, you'll be doing a lot more fire damage. It is a very powerful spell, but it uses so much mana that you then start having mana problems. This whole run, I didn't have any health problems or any mana problems. So you can play with it. If you want to manage your mana a little bit more, Volcanic Orb is a really nice addition to this build. All right, guys and gals, my time is up for today. I've been Critical. This has been a build guide for Last Epoch. If you guys like this content, drop a like and consider subscribing. And if you have a build that you want me to try out, go ahead and drop it down in the comments and I'll take a look at it. You guys have a nice day. Bye.